Okay, we are live.
Okay, welcome back to the Committee
Hello.
of the Whole, Revere School Committee of the Whole meeting. As we went into executive session, I want to acknowledge that Ms. Ty and Brian Arrigo had joined the meeting, just to make sure it's on the record. And Diane, what would be the next item you wanted on this agenda?
So the next item was, and I had foreshadowed this at our last school committee meeting, some problems that we anticipated with busing. And we did do a survey of all of the parents of students who lived more than a mile from their school. And so I just wanted to share those results, and we have a recommendation to the committee. Can you see that PowerPoint?
Yes.
Yes, okay. So we surveyed the middle and high school students who live a mile or greater from their school. Over 2,200 families received the survey, and a little over 1,200 replied. We imagine that some of the families weren't interested in this and therefore didn't respond. But based on the responses, there were 4 options that we had discussed at the last school committee meeting. And one of them was to bus everybody who lives a mile or more, which would require us to find 2 additional buses and drivers. We could bus everybody who lived 1.5 miles or more, which we have enough buses to cover. A third option was to bus all of the middle school students who live more than a mile from their school. But for the high school kids, only bus kids who live more than 2 miles from school. Which again, we have enough buses to cover. Our last option would be to only bus kids who live more than 2 miles from their school, which would require only 8 buses, very few. And again, we would not need to hire any additional buses. And the recommendation that we're making is that we go with this third option of busing the middle school students who live more than a mile from their school and the high school students who live more than 2 miles. We do currently have 23 buses, and this leaves us a little bit of flexibility because we do anticipate that although we think some families didn't respond to the survey because they're not interested in transportation, we do think there are still some families who are going to say, oh, I didn't realize I was supposed to do that, or whatever the case may be. So this leaves us a cushion of 5 buses to still service any additional kids who come out, or families who come out and let us know that they actually do need transportation, even though they didn't respond to the survey. It also ensures that our middle school students, who are typically younger, are the vast majority of them will be bused. And those who are, 1 mile from their school, that's very close. It's a 5,280 foot walk, which is very quick.
Oh, I have to say, I really agree with the third one, especially where we do have a lottery for the middle school students that really should be looked at. I think this is very timely since we start. And a lot of parents are on social media because we have the old schedule up. And they're questioning where the kids get the bus and everything. It's something that has to get out today.
Yeah, and the notices are ready to go out if the committee wants to approve that option.
Susan Revelisi.
Thank you, Ms. Rizzo. Diane, you said that we had 23 buses. What would those 5 additional bus drivers be doing if we don't see an influx of kids that all of a sudden need a bus? Like, they'll still have their job, they won't get laid off?
Correct. And several of them work for Healy, so Healy would have them employed otherwise until we say that we need those buses.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure that they
Yes,
weren't.
yeah, no, there's no one's going to lose a job or anything like that.
Okay.
Oh, one quick one. One question.
Michael Ferranti.
Thanks, Stacy. Diane, those 5 buses, are we paying those drivers whether they drive or not? If we only have 23 and we're using 18, are we still paying those 5 drivers and buses?
We will be initially until we determine whether or not we actually need those buses. So we're gonna keep them under contract until we have more definitive information. It's always the case that after school starts, more families and
Right.
kids come forward and let us know that they need assistance.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Sinella?
Well, the difference is we're not just paying the drivers, we're paying for the buses also. And under the contract, it's a package deal.
Hmm. True.
So what is the total cost of the 5 buses in reserve?
So the way the contract is written is we have contracted with Healy for 20 buses and we have 3 buses of our own. So those are the 23 that
Okay.
we're working with. And one of the 3 of ours, we always leave on reserve in case there's a breakdown. So it's two people that we would have. And we can absolutely use that staff. They're helping with the special ed runs, the inside.
No, Diane, excuse me,
Okay.
I'm not questioning our usage of our people.
Yeah.
What Michael alluded to is that, correct me if I'm wrong, they're having Haley Bus Company getting drivers. So if we have 5 buses technically in reserve of theirs, can they guarantee drivers?
They have guaranteed us the 20 buses and 20 drivers.
Okay,
that they
thank
have.
you.
Yeah. Yep.
Thank you.
Ms. Ty?
You know, we have always told people on the middle schools, don't worry, they'll be bused. So I'm really concerned about not busing everybody who wants to be bused to the middle school. I could see where a child who went to the Wayland and got the Susan B. Anthony from middle school might not need a bus or might not want a bus. But I'm very concerned about, 5,280 steps is a lot when you're a kid who doesn't want to get up in the morning. So I really would like to see all of the kids who are in middle school given the option of busing, pull that from them, since that's always been a promise.
Under
So the
that,
challenge is gonna be that we don't have enough buses to outright, just say that, Carol. That's kind of what we went over at the last meeting.
I
So-
know. I'm hoping, of course, that in some way we can reconfigure what we do have, so that we
So-
can bus anybody who really wants to be bused.
So Carol, if someone lives down, let's say by St. Mary's, Washington Ave, and goes to SBA, are you saying you think they have a right to be bused?
On the middle there, Stacy, I didn't, you cut out at
I'm
least
sorry.
on my, could you please repeat that?
Are you like recommending, for an example, a student that lives down by St. Mary's on Washington Ave be bused if they're going to SBA and they chose to?
No, of course not. No. I mean, that I think that parents would be reasonable about that. And I also know that a lot of parents drive their kids anyway, so they might not need it. I'm just hoping that when it comes out, that there will be the possibility that we can give busing to anybody who wants it, who's going to a middle school.
Diane, do we currently only bus everyone from 1 mile or more
No, currently we bus everybody who wants a bus.
in elementary
Middle
too?
school. No,
Oh,
elementary
middle
kids,
school. Okay.
we only bus certain kids for elementary if they live in the Point of Pines or in West Revere up at Caddy Farms.
but we
mean,
do have
I-
extra buses.
We
Right.
do, and one thing that we could do, Carol, is target those additional buses for middle school. I just think that we have to,
Uh-huh.
it does get into a situation where sometimes we have parents who are very, very close to the school still seeking transportation.
Mhm.
Um,
And not even parents, kids see a friend and they just walk over and catch the bus with them. And the bus drivers usually stop for everyone along the way. I mean, I can see going with the third option and keeping in mind those extra students like Carol had alluded to. Because I do believe not every parent reads the portal. And not every parent has already thought about it and probably won't think about it until
Right,
after the first day of school, and then they have complaints that no bus picked them up.
right.
So I think that's where we can look at the 5 extra buses somewhere.
yeah, if it turns out that kids who are living more than a mile from their middle school or more than 2 miles from the high school don't come out in demand of these 5 buses, then we can look at saying, let's use them for kids at the middle school who live within a mile, or maybe we go to a half mile and offer it to those kids. Would that be a fair compromise?
Yeah, it seems to me. I mean, it will all play out when it starts. I mean, I think there will be kids who were bused last year who will not be bused this year to the high school. Is that accurate?
I
Mhm.
believe that's an accurate statement, yes.
Well, that's good. Good luck, Diane.
Well, Carol, for example, where I lived on Mountain Ave, there was a bus pickup across the street from me for high school students. That is just 1 mile. So if those kids couldn't walk from there, and I mean, don't get me wrong, they were always late. I don't know how many times I picked up kids and drove them to Broadway because they missed the bus. So there's always going to be kids that don't want to walk that far. And I mean, I know I can do it and I don't like sweating, but I think it needs to be tried. And I think we should just keep it with the third. We still have those other 5 buses. And then Diane can come back and give us an update at our next meeting on what we might, of how we're using those 5. And like you had suggested to look into those extra students for middle school.
Well, I think that we will. This will have to be revisited when we see what
Mhm.
happens. And the people who did not return the survey might then say, oh, I was still on vacation, or for whatever reason they didn't. So I think there'll be a lot of adjustments to be made afterwards. And I do trust you, Diane, to make the adjustments appropriately.
Thank you, Carol. And the other thing that I'll say is we don't know if in the next few months the employment market might change, and the bus drivers that Healy's unable to find right now there may be more people looking for that kind of work, which could change the situation as well.
True.
And we will absolutely stay focused on all of that.
Excuse me, Diane, you just made reference that the bus drivers aren't available. You alluded to me that 5 buses that we have in reserve, Haley has drivers for.
They do. So what we had talked about at the last school committee meeting was, in order to continue servicing all students the way we did last year, because we did away with ELT, which changed our ability to double use buses, we would need to add a number of buses to our fleet that, first of all, are not in the Healy contract. But also, when we talked to Healy about what the options were, they said they couldn't guarantee us any additional buses because they cannot find drivers.
All right, okay.
So
All right.
that's kind of what's driving the something has to change. And so the question is, what do we change?
Okay, all right, okay.
Right.
Okay.
But I think it has to be mentioned that we are busing children that under law, we don't have to. And
Right.
Revere's probably the last outpost in the state that has this luxury without either adding a fee and or implementing
Yeah.
whatever it is. So, all right, okay. Let's move on with the meeting.
Okay.
Okay, so Would someone like to make a motion?
Well, what the superintendent's
motion would be
recommendation
to-
is,
To choose the third as the superintendent recommended.
Yeah,
So I think the wording would be that you authorize the superintendent to transport students who live more than 1 mile from their middle school or more than 2 miles from their high school.
Sounds good.
yeah, okay. Who made
Someone-
that? I'll make it if no one did.
I'll second it.
Carol and
Second.
Michael. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Bronston Rizzo,
Yes.
Mr. D'Ambrosio,
Yes.
Mr. Ferranti,
Yes,
Ms. Gravellisi,
Yes,
Mr. Sinella,
yes,
Ms. Ty,
Yes,
Mayor Rigo.
Yes.
Diane, if I may make reference, get that out to the Journal today because they come out tomorrow. At least you'll have coverage other than what you're sending home.
Yes, thank you. Good suggestion.
Diane, are they gonna do an all call or just gonna do an email?
They'll do the email. And usually Richie does a, please look at your email kind of notice as well.
Okay, does anyone want to entertain a motion to adjourn?
so move, Madam Chair.
Ms. Ty for the motion,
I'll second it.
Michael Ferranti second. So this committee will be adjourning to August 26th at 9 a.m. So
10
thank you,
a.m.
everyone.
10,
Right.
Stacy, 10.
10 a.m.
Thursday?
Thursday.
10.
Thursday at 10.
I thought it was 9.
No, Diane
I-
asked for after 9:30.
Okay, I apologize. Thursday, the 26th at 10 a.m. Everyone have a great day.
Do you need to do a
Bye.
roll
Thank
call?
you.
A roll call,
Thanks.
roll call, roll call, roll call, roll
Mrs.
call.
Bronston Rizzo,
Yes.
Mr. D'Ambrosio,
Yes.
Mr. Ferranti,
Yes.
Ms. Gravellisi, Mr.
Sheila.
Sinella,
Yes.
Ms. Ty,
Yes.
Mayor Rigo.
Yes.
My apologies. Have a good day now.
Buddy?